Okay, welcome along, Claire. Thank you for agreeing to have a chat with us. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, so my name's Clare and I live in Berkshire at the moment, but I grew up in Cumbria, and I'm 50.
And what is it that you do for a living?
So I'm a marketing executive now with a software company, and they do they sell software globally. So I'm in the head office in their marketing team. I only started this job 3 weeks ago. Before that, I worked for a German marquee manufacturer, and I was in the UK office, and the head office is over in Germany in the same Bundesland as Frankfurt, so about an hour away from Frankfurt.
Right, okay, and what did you study at university?
I studied business studies with German, and the course was actually quite unusual because you had 2 6-month placements, one in the UK in the first two years of the course, and one in Germany in the second 2 years of the course. So my final 2 years were spent in Germany, both at university there and doing a placement.
Wow, sounds fantastic. And what did you enjoy most about living in Germany?
I just loved meeting lots of different people, the culture. I studied with Spanish, French and German students, so we were a real mix of different communities that came together, and we all got on very well. And I love the social life there. I mean, you have to sell, if you study in Germany, you have to sell the beer and wine festivals, because they are the best way to learn a language, because you lose all your inhibitions and get to know so many different people.
Fantastic, yeah, definitely. So could you describe what a typical day in your job looks like, please?
Okay, well, I'm quite new to my job, I'll just sort of tell you roughly the sort of things we do in marketing. So quite a lot of it is to do with what we put out there to sell our products, and that will be the content on the website, so updating things like that, whether it's the words or the images, updating social media, and looking at the strategy for the company in terms of marketing the product to customers. And our customers at the moment are other businesses it's companies that rent things out, whether that be vehicles or plant hire like diggers. It's that sort of thing. So it can be very varied, do lots of different things in a day. And it's good to be in a team where you're all working together. So I'm in the sort of central bit that does the marketing, but we also have a team that does German marketing, French marketing and other languages as well. So I'll be working with the very small German team and putting German content together as well.
Right, so you are using your language on a daily basis, would you say, or regularly?
At the moment not, but in my previous job, which I only left 3 weeks ago, I was using it all the time. And so because it was a German company, I was the only English person in the company that spoke German. So my skills were really beneficial to the company. So any translations that needed doing, they came to me. And I have to say, I think that's how I got my job, is because lots of people that do business studies, but there's very few people that can do all the marketing, business skills, plus have a language. It just gives you the competitive edge.
And did you find that when you were applying for jobs then, that was something that set you apart from other
Definitely. I'm absolutely convinced that I got back into marketing after having a career break because I had fluent German on my CV. And my current job, I didn't even apply for. I got contacted by a headhunter. They'd seen my details on Indeed or LinkedIn, something like that. And the way that these things work, they're looking for certain keywords, and one of those keywords was fluent German. So that made me stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, definitely. Could you tell us a little bit about your experiences learning German? Where did you start and why did you pursue it?
It's interesting, really, because the German people that I know always ask me that. I think because I am fluent now, they think I must have started off bilingually right from the get-go and have German parents, but I didn't. I learned it at school. I started with French in the equivalent of year 7, and you had to do a test at the end of year 7 to see if you were good enough to do German, and I sort of didn't really appreciate that that was actually quite important, and I went to my clarinet lesson halfway through the test, but I must have done something right, because I was then allowed to go and do German in year 8. So that was the start of it, and I think I got the bug because I went on holiday to Germany with my family just before that, but it's sort of at the end of primary school, and I noticed that all the other kids on this campsite, except the English kids, could all speak a second language. And I'm intrinsically nosy, and I wanted to know what they were talking about. I hated the fact that I couldn't understand what they were saying and that they all had to translate for me. So I think that's where my love of languages came from. And yeah, and then I just carried on, did GCSEs in French and German and A-levels in both languages. But having gone away and done my degree with German, I'm afraid my French has suffered somewhat. I still use it a little bit, and I try to use it, but the saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it, and that's definitely the case with my French, unfortunately.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. Okay, so what is the coolest thing that you've ever done in your job, in your career?
Well, this isn't to do with my languages now, but when I was working for a big mobile phone company, I had to go and do some research in Japan. So it sort of links with the interest in other cultures. And I went for a week and got completely immersed into the culture. My colleague over there spoke Japanese, but he was actually American, and he gave me a tour of the culture. So that was really cool. And then part of my job then was people watching and observing how they use their mobile phones, and that was fascinating. I loved it.
I can imagine, yeah, definitely. I fancy having a job with people watching.
I know. It's quite a luxury, really.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, and what is the hardest thing that you've had to do in your job then?
It's not my current job. I think the hardest, I had a bit of a career break when I had my children, and then I went and I was so inspired by the teachers that my children had, I went into teaching, and the hardest thing was doing the teacher training by far. It was such a challenging year for me because I had not only that to deal with, but bringing up children as well. So I do admire anyone that goes into teaching and sticks with it, unlike me.
Okay, do you have any advice for young people who think that learning languages is either not for them or that it's just not necessary anymore?
I think it is necessary, especially with Brexit. So on the positive note, it can get you in the door with companies, as I said before. I'm absolutely convinced that I wouldn't have got a look in without having the languages on my CV, because it's so unique in our country. Unfortunately, not enough people are learning languages. And it also, I just really think it's helped my English and my general communication skills. Going away and doing 2 years in Germany, both studying and working, gave me an awful lot of confidence when I then had to go and find a job. And I did get very positive feedback from the first few interviews I went for, that they said, you know, I came across very well, I communicated very well, and I'm sure that that's because I had to do presentations in German. And if I can do them in German, I can do them in English very easily, and it does give you a lot of confidence. So yeah, so with us leaving the EU, I just think now more than ever, we need to give ourselves that competitive edge, because we no longer can just sort of move between countries in the EU. Before we went out of the EU, we could just go and work wherever we wanted. But now we have to have something additional to our normal skills, and I think languages is it, you know. So I definitely think it's worth doing a language. And the other thing is it can just take you places on holiday and you can talk to all sorts of different people. You know, like when I was on holiday, talking to those kids, but also as an adult, going along and just ordering your food, everything, it's really, really useful. But it's good to get to know different people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one final question for you then. If you could sum up language learning in 5 words exactly, what would they be?
And that is such a challenge. I did write some things down. So fun, definitely fun. Don't get stressed about language learning. It is really fun, and that's how you should look at it. Travel, because it's helped me travel a lot. Now these are 2 words, but it's sort of, I'm going to hyphenate them. Competitive edge, definitely. And again with the next, confidence. It's definitely given me a lot of confidence. And I know that's really used up my 5, but if I could end with opens doors, that's what I would say.
Excellent, that's great. Thank you so much for your time.
That's no problem at all.